Woo, welcome back, traders. We are going to be getting into AMC HYMC, which is a company that AMC is invested in, and we'll dabble a little bit about gold. But before we do any of that, I just wanted to give a quick update on Adam Aaron. Adam Aaron has been an absolute tweet box storm, or he's been on a tandem recently about the release of Showgirl, a theatrical release around Taylor Swift for the second time in the last 4 years, with the first release of Taylor Swift grossing almost $2 billion in revenue for the company. Taylor Swift, the official release party of Showgirl, has already outgrossed in less than 6 hours the first 24 hours of pre-sales of every movie released this year, and yes, bigger than Superman and Fantastic Four. This is an inherently bullish thing for AMC. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you say. This is a very, very good fundamental change because this has been kind of dropped on people's heads. No one was really forecasting for this in AMC, which is the best news, right? The best news is surprise news when it comes to stocks, and bullish surprise news, because when that happens, right, you catch a lot of shorts with their pants down. You can catch people who are short against the stock who are going off of their numbers, right, their forecasts. Let me just push up my glasses, right? You're going against those people, right? You're going against those blank people. So AMC, fundamental change, very, very good. You should see revenue go up this quarter. And then also, if AMC can continue with their cost savings, you might actually pull a profitable quarter. And then we know November, you have Wicked, right? Wicked is going to be very interesting because the first movie also just absolutely crushed it in the box office. So I'm really interested to see what AMC does here. And on the 4-hour chart, you're about to get a 4-hour golden cross. We talked about this in our last video, yada, yada, yada. You're creating a bullish triangle here with a flat resistance right at 302 and then ascending support. These break up, guys. Typically, they break up. If you see a breakdown, you might see a test of the golden cross before it happens or as it's happening, right? You're either going to boom tomorrow or technically Monday. You're going to come back down while this gets across, and then you go, right? Very possible. But regardless, the good news, the amazing news is you are above the 50-day EMA, right? That is what we wanted on this stock. You're going to expect next week, if you can hold these levels, a cross of the 9 above the 50. That should give you a bullish breakout here into the 200 for the first time, guys. For the first time since, this squeeze right here. So I anticipate a very good week next week. That is just my own bullish sentiment, though. You could open up with a rejection. That is not what we want to see. So Monday, guys, literally all eyes on Monday. It's going to be a fascinating day to see how the bulls react to not only this news, to these catalysts, but the chart is telling me, right, that this thing wants to break out. The chart, I mean, the volume, look at the volume, right? We freaked out about this last video because the volume was 5x the next volume candle. And it was the most volume since back here in May, right? So I think this consolidation has almost come to a halt. I think it's almost over. And we're going to have to find out what happens once you get above here. But what I do know is that the macro looks phenomenal. For the first time in AMC's history, since 2020, guys, the macro looks phenomenal. Let's zoom in here. You can see on the monthly time frame, you are creating this double bottom on AMC, printing a green bullish hammer candle, guys. So often does that mark your bottom, and in this instance, you're creating a higher low, right? Higher low. So this could become a trend line to watch for the ages, and to potentially come back down after you break out and retest. I would not be surprised to see that either. But what we're looking at on AMC, right? We're looking at this macro double bottom. And it is about time that once you break this macro wedge within your smaller time frame falling wedge, that you should see this kind of leg, right? This kind of movement. And that will take you up to that $13 gap fill. Ideally, right? Because back here, you saw a perfect macro double bottom on the monthly. And you zoom out, right? That's exactly what you're looking at. Exactly what you're looking at. So we're hoping to see this accumulative pattern come to fruition. You zoom in on the quarterly chart and you see AMC absolutely doing the dirty, about to cross the quarterly MACD chart for the first time since 2021 when you printed a 400% candle. Looks nice. It looks really, really nice in my opinion. And I do believe that this might be some kind of bottoming formation here. We're just going to have to wait. But the fundamental change and the good news is a very good sign of this, right? That's our thesis on AMC. Let's get into HYMC because, oh my goodness, guys. I've had this charted up for quite some time. You can see that AMC got in back here in 2022. You scrolls up to $32 and you look at what you're doing now, right? You've created this bullish triangle. You broke the horizontal resistance that's pinned you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this was your sixth touch of it. And you've now broken above and ran 100%. That's an 100% move. So HYMC is absolutely cooking. This is a asset, in case you guys are not aware, that AMC has stake in. They own a good size, a good chunk of this company. And you can see that this investment, hopefully, right, because they bought down here, hopefully is in the green and hopefully can act as a bullish catalyst for AMC. I would not be surprised to see this thing go much, much higher because your next horizontal resistances are at 7, 8, and $10. I would not be surprised to see this thing continue to stair step or get a throwback retest of this macro very heavy resistance at, what is that at, 470? Yeah, 475, let's call it. So HYMC, the mining company that AMC is invested in, looks absolutely filthy. And I think that this U-shaped pattern, I do believe eventually you will come to the 200-day EMA on the weekly because these things act like an absolute magnet. But what you can see here is you are in the best case scenario. You're above the local horizontal resistance. Your 50 is absolutely going on a tear now, curling up. Your volume looks insane. The only thing I will say is I don't like a weekly hanging man candle. That is the only thing that makes me believe that you might see some kind of throwback retest before making another high. And I think that would be very, very bullish and very good for the stock to do so. Unless you see some kind of flagging pattern, guys. If you see a flagging pattern, I'm going to be pounding the table on this thing, right? Maybe you see something like that. Very possible. You could also see that full retest and bounce. But what I do know is when the 50 is sloping up and the 200 is sloping down, it is only a matter of time, guys, before the price breaks one of these two. And typically they always meet in the middle. So $7, enough consolidation, this thing will absolutely begin to tear shorts apart. And that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm excited to see. I really like the volume here, and I really like the price action. If you go to the monthly time frame on HYMC, you can see just how bullish these candles are and just how significant this breakout was, right? It gives you a little bit better of a perspective on the resistance that this acted as. You rejected it here, broke above it here, bounced, rejected, 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 break above, right? So every time that you've seen this break above, I mean, you've just absolutely torn people apart. 641%. And I think that this is a almost foreshadowing to what AMC could potentially do, right? You're only halfway through the month, and you can see the nearest monthly candle in volume, right? Because this is the 20th right now, and you're already almost double this volume bar. Was this one when you went up 50 freaking %, guys? So I expect bullish continuation here. I freaking love the quarterly outlook, because the quarterly outlook, you're doing something absolutely insane. You've gotten the quarterly MACD cross, and so this is why I am so bullish on AMC, Gamestop, NEO. You are seeing a lot of these risk-on assets begin to break resistances and begin to curl up on the quarterly MACD. Now you see, when you began your curl up, that marked the bottom of HYMC. And this is something that every single person has the ability to look at. And this is what I want you guys to learn. I want you guys to begin to start looking at these macro indicators, because when you are coming into rate cut season and these things are curling up, guys, that is a tremendously bullish sign. And once you see a cross on AMC, I'll give you perspective. This cross is already up 224%, guys. That's insane, right? So you see how close you are here. I'm not saying that they're going to mirror, but 224% brings you up to about $9, right? That's a 3x from current price. HYMC, I don't believe is done here yet. And I would be surprised if you didn't come up to at least $10 here. I would be very surprised, because that's going to act as your hardest resistance. And if you bust through 10, guys, you're going up. You're going up to 30. And if you go to 30, there's a good chance you come back down and you make this inverse head and shoulders. That is the best case scenario on HYMC, that you do something like this. Follow my cursor. Shoulder. Head. Shoulder, right? And then you form some kind of base before you make another all-time high. That is the absolute bull case scenario on HYMC. I'm not anticipating that. It does look really possible, though, with this shoulder. Very U-shaped accumulative pattern. And this breakout, I would expect significant resistance up here. But regardless, what matters for AMC is that they hold a significant stake in this. In fact, let's look it up, because I'm genuinely curious. What percentage of HYMC does AMC own? Whoo, drum roll. Oh my goodness, this is taking forever. So direct holdings, 2.4 million common shares out of 52 million. So AMC stake rises to approximately 9%. Yeah, it's pretty great. 9% of that company, that's absolutely ripping. That's full sending right now, up 106% on the quarter. I will take it. So I think it's almost a perfect storm to where they can have a very, very good beat next earnings between Taylor Swift, HYMC, quarterly MACD cross, Wicked coming next quarter, and then a couple other niche movies. But the biggest thing is this chart, guys. This chart looks ready to U-shape up to $13. That is the biggest thing. And to the ones doubting, wait and find out, guys. Patience pays. And remember the lesson I keep saying, the lesson we learned was a lot more valuable than the stock we held throughout this. So not financial advice. I'm averaging down. Make sure to slap the subscribe button. Thank you guys for staying to the end. I love each and every single one of you guys. God bless to you and your families, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.